Hey, this is Moshe Rothschild, the Global Israel Alliance, coming to you Friday the 13th, Friday, March 13th, 2020, with the weekly update summary of the news from Israel. Let's see. This week, our Prime Minister Netanyahu laid out his 5-point plan in fighting the coronavirus. Part of the plan includes mobilizing young people to disinfect public spaces. We know that the virus is killed by bleach, so there's a plan to disinfect public spaces, and they plan to engage youth groups, the kids, in this project. You know, in Israel, I have a great spirit of volunteerism, so I think it's actually a great idea. Another part of the plan was to develop new industrial testing methods and as well introducing financial measures to help businesses weather the outbreak. As well, this week, the Prime Minister held high-level economic meetings at the Prime Minister's office in Jerusalem to address the fallout from the corona pandemic. And I quote, "We are entering the corona crisis and our situation is better than most countries around the world. We've taken steps such as establishing a new Israeli shekel 4 billion shekel fund to help businesses that have been hurt by the coronavirus. At this time, we are working to add additional money. 4 billion shekels is $1 billion approximately." Netanyahu also explained, and I quote, regarding supplies. Most supplies in the state of Israel come by sea, products, raw materials, all these things, including food. Almost all food come by sea, so there's no reason to storm the supermarkets. There is more than enough food, and there will be more than enough food for everyone. Of course, that didn't stop people from storming the supermarkets, especially emptying out the toilet paper aisle, which I don't really get because diarrhea is not one of the symptoms of corona. Okay, so continuing this week, the Joint List, which is the Arab parties in Israel. And remember, they received 15 seats in our last vote for the Knesset. So a lawmaker from the Joint List, her name's Aida Tuma Suleiman. She wants to abolish the law of return in Israel. What is the law of return? The law of return, sorry, it's a little camera shaky because I'm outside and it's windy, but the law of return basically says that Jews that come back to the land of Israel under the law of return get immediate citizenship, and she wants to, as part of her platform, abolish this law, and that's one of her conditions. Conditions for what, you might ask? Well, the Blue and White Party is trying to form a minority government, which would include the Arab parties, the Joint List. Many of them are supporters of terrorism, and one of their demands is to get rid of this idea of the law of return. Now, if that would happen, that would mean people would make aliyah and they would not get citizenship. They'd have to undergo a 6-7 year process in order to qualify as citizens. Back to the coronavirus. Israel this week declared a 14-day quarantine for anyone, Israelis and visitors, foreigners that come to Israel, a 14-day quarantine, which effectively ended tourism in Israel, which basically ended my income in Israel as well. So that was a very, very big announcement. And after those 2 weeks, they're going to revisit it. And I suspect that unless there's some drastic change, they will renew that and continue quarantining all those who arrive in Israel. This was a major, major decision affecting a lot of people. Continuing, yesterday, Netanyahu announced that Israeli schools and universities will be closed effective immediately. As of today, there was no school. Today's Friday in Israel. They announced this last night, and they are not planning to open the schools again till after Passover, which is somewhere around, I want to say, the second week of April. So school kids around Israel were overjoyed about this decision. Of course, this year there were no snow days in Israel, so here they get their virus days. Of course, parents are hoping that the school sends homework or there will be distance learning through the computers, but it's a very, very challenging time in Israel. as it is around the world. So of course we are blessing everybody that they should be safe and healthy. Now I want to make one. This week we also celebrated the holiday of Purim in Israel. It was a great holiday. If you want to see, I wrote an article about that. You can go to our website, israelalliance.org, and go to the blog section, and I'll explains a little bit about the holiday. Now, one thing I want to say that we've learned from the coronavirus, I put this on a video on Facebook as well this week, that we see the incredible interconnection, the physical interconnection between people. A virus that began in Wuhan, China, is affecting people that are thousands of miles away. That there's this physical connection between people, and there's also a spiritual connection between people. There's an incredible connection that we see, and the question is, are we feeling a sense of unity, or are we feeling disconnection? Sometimes we are literally right next to someone and we don't feel that we're connected to someone, and sometimes someone can be thousands of miles away and we feel connected to them. The coronavirus has demonstrated someone can be thousands of miles away and we're still physically connected to them. We may not be spiritually connected to them or connected on any other level, but there's no denying that there's a physical connection. So I think one of the things we do need to learn is that we need to support each other and feel a sense of unity in this world, and God would want that of all his children, to feel united. The second thing is that the coronavirus, corona means crown, and maybe, I don't like this idea of people trying to give reasons of why it's happening, and I've seen Christians post that, I've seen Jews post that, I've seen Muslims post that, everyone trying to get into the mind of the divine being, in God's mind, thinking they know what's happening. We don't know, but one thing we do know is that the word corona means crown, and maybe, just maybe, we have to take to heart this idea that we have to crown God and understand that God runs this universe, and that, it's incredible how a virus can literally just shut everything down. And so we got to remember that God is the king of the world, and it's just a good reminder as we keep quoting the corona, the crown, remember that God runs this world. So wishing everyone a healthy Shabbat, and this is Moshe Rothschild from Israel, wishing you a wonderful Shabbat and a great week from the Global Israel Alliance.